there, it's Dr. Jen from Impact Ortho, and I'm working from home today, and I thought, I'm going to put together a video about Bluegrass appliances. So what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit today about what a Bluegrass appliance is, what we use it for, and why it's important. A Bluegrass appliance is a habit appliance. I call it a reminder appliance, and it is used on children when we are trying to stop a habit like finger sucking or thumb sucking, or even blanket sucking. The appliance is glued into the mouth using little metal rings around the big grown-up molars at the back. And then a little wire sits over the roof of the mouth with a bead on it. I call it fidget spinner in the mouth that spins around. And the idea here is that anytime anything goes in the mouth, it will run into that little spinny bead and be a reminder to the child to not put their thumb in, or not put their fingers in, or not put the blanket in their mouth. So you may have heard of appliances similar to this. Back in the good old days, there used to be appliances that people would put in that were pokey, so that the idea would be thumb would go in and their thumb would get stabbed. And that would be the reason to take the thumb out. I don't love that appliance because I feel like there's no reason at all to injure or make a child uncomfortable. The idea is that this appliance goes in when they're old enough that they completely understand why it is we need the habit to stop. And the appliance is a reminder because it will be a physical barrier anytime they try to put thumb, finger, or blanket in the mouth. And that is most often happening when they're sleeping, so we require a physical barrier because they're not even aware that they're trying to do it when they're in bed at nighttime. Okay, you've seen what a Bluegrass looks like. Now, why do we do these at all? Why is it important that we don't have finger, thumb, blanket sucking happening routinely, or what I call habitually? Whenever something goes into the mouth and suction is created, we are putting forces on the teeth and the bone in the mouth. If a thumb or finger or blanket is sucked routinely, pretty much every day, over time, there's going to be movement to the teeth and the bones of the mouth. If this habit stops when children are young, then any of those changes are generally reversed. So we try very hard, ideally around age 2 or 3, but for sure before the first grown-up teeth have come into the mouth, these habits have got to be stopped in order for there not to be permanent damage to grown-up teeth and then developing bone as the child is growing. What will start to happen is the palate of the mouth, or the roof of the mouth, will get really narrow up top because there's pressure pushing up on the roof of the mouth. There also will be changes to the teeth. The teeth will start to flare, and often when these children bite together, there's a big gap here called an open bite, where the teeth don't actually overlap in the front anymore. There's no vertical overlap of the teeth in the front of the mouth because by having something in there full time, they push those teeth away from each other. Often the lower teeth will also be leaning backwards towards the throat. So the teeth will be pushed backwards. So we have teeth that are sticking out in the front and they don't overlap all of the way. And the bone in the roof of the mouth, usually the upper jaw, is changed because of that habit taking place. Like I said, if they're young enough when the habit stops, those changes generally reverse. And there are things that can be done orthodontically to reverse those changes. But we can't even do that until the habit has stopped, otherwise they will return right away. The most common age that would get a Bluegrass appliance in our office would be someone as young as 6 or 7, especially if they're very willing to stop the habit, all the way up to age 8 or 9. Sometimes we get to age 8 or 9 and everything else that we could possibly think of has been tried at home, but the habit is still happening, and so we would put one of these appliances in to stop. The appliance is glued into the mouth using temporary glue, and it stays in for anywhere between 6 and 12 months for the vast majority of children. It generally takes about 6 months to know that the habit is stopped. So what we will do is glue the appliance in, teach everybody how to clean around it. They'll go home and sleep with that appliance in for 6 months. And then at 6 months when we revisit, usually I ask the parents, have they noticed if thumb or fingers or blanket is still trying to go into the mouth with the appliance in place? If it is, then we leave it in for longer. If they're like, nope, from day one, you guys put that guy in and no thumb has been in the mouth for 6 months, fantastic. We take it off of the teeth. We keep it at the office just in case we need it again. We don't very often. And then parents will go home and monitor and let us know if the habit returns. If the habit returns, we can always put the appliance back in, but usually it works fantastically well. If we've left it in for longer, then in general at the 1-year mark, we will make that assessment. Can we take it out or does it have to stay in? When the appliance is removed, if the habit has stopped, then we can let normal growth and development happen. So there may be nothing else orthodontically that needs to be done in that moment. If the habit had occurred for a long time, so we're into an older age 7, 8, 9, 10, and the habit was happening, usually after the habit has stopped, we will see some changes, good changes happening to the teeth and bones right away. If we don't, or if the body doesn't respond the way that we want, then there is always something that we can do orthodontically. We can make a palate wider if we need to. We can move teeth and change the angles of them if we need to get us back to a state of as normal as possible. The biggest risk of a habit going beyond these ages is if the changes become permanent, then the only way to fix them sometimes is with surgery, which is to actually move bones around surgically. And again, I don't see a lot of people with this, but that is actually the reason behind stopping it early, so that we can do things orthodontically or let nature take its course in order to correct anything negative that happened from the habit. So now you know what a Bluegrass Appliance is. You also know why we fix these habits and what's important about them. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a good day. Bye-bye.